So Oscar season is right around the corner. So I figured now than late than ever, even though it is like February of 2025, this is the perfect time to come out with my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. So before we get started on like the actual top 10 list of the year, I do want to make a couple honorable mentions. So there's a lot of movies that I watched last year. I think I watched over 100 2024 movies last year. So there's so many movies out there that I just could not put again on a top 10 list because there's so many releases and so many of those movies were really, really good. So I wanted to first go and just name a couple honorable mentions here. So, and to make it clear, these honorable mentions are not in any specific order, not like the one is, the 11th movie of the year, one is the 12th movie of the year. I just want to mention a couple of these movies for one reason or another. For example, one of my honorable mentions from last year is a movie called Fighting Spirit. It is a movie, it was in very, very limited release. I think it was maybe in like 20 theaters across the country. And luckily enough, Indianapolis, which is not super far away from me, had a showing for this. And it was like one showing a day for like a week. So it was very limited. Thank goodness I was able to go see it. Because I really, really enjoyed it. It's a very simple, it's like a 90-minute documentary. It's fantastic. It's about chaplains in the US Army. And one of the really cool things that I learned from it was, that there's chaplains now of all different faiths and religions, so whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, Catholic, right, there is chaplains of all faiths and stuff throughout the US Army, which I think is really fascinating. And one of the interesting things is it follows kind of this storyline of throughout the different wars, all the way up, from like, the Revolutionary War, it's using, old diary entries and stuff from chaplains of that point, all the way up until some of the newest wars that the US has fought in. And really just goes in and describes, a lot of the challenges and stuff that chaplains faced, not only just the actual warfare, right, but being able to help these, these soldiers who are fighting these wars be able to kind of process mentally the things that they're seeing. And I thought, more than not, I think it's just a really important story that I think more people needs to see. And I was really happy that I got to see this last year. So it's going to go in my first honorable mention spot. So another honorable mention I want to make here real quick is another movie that I really, really enjoyed. And again, the sole reason it's on this list is because I thought this movie was going to be absolute trash. Like seeing the trailer for this come out when it first came out, I thought there's no way this is good. And then I wanted to go see in theater and it was pretty epic. And if you've been following the channel, you might know what I'm talking about. It's actually one of the first videos I ever made on this channel, Transformers 1. Again, if you go back and watch that video, I'm not going to go into super in depth because I have talked about this film before. But man, when this trailer dropped, seeing a cartoon Transformers movie, again, having grown up on the Michael Bay Transformers movies, there was no way I thought this movie was going to be good, like in any way. I thought maybe it would be kind of fun for kids and stuff, but I was like, I'm not going to sit there and enjoy watching this movie. Guess what? It's pretty darn epic. Like it is pretty good. Does it have its flaws? That's why it's not on this top 10. Absolutely, right? But again, going from what I thought was going to be a 0 to, I gave it a pretty good score. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 on my Letterboxd. So I just want to make that little honorable mention here real quick because again, movie I didn't think was going to be great turned out to be pretty cool and honestly a lot more fun. Like the jokes were not just all like, little kid jokes. There were a lot of jokes in there that I thought, myself and like other adults and parents and stuff who are bringing their kids are going to be able to watch this movie and actually just genuinely have a laugh. So the second honorable mention spot is going to go to Transformers 1. And finally, here at number 10, we are going to have Gladiator 2. So I have actually never seen the first Gladiator movie previous to this one coming out. So I think literally a few days before I went to go see Gladiator 2 in theaters, found Gladiator, I think was on Netflix or something at that point, threw it on, watched it. Amazing movie. At first Gladiator, if you haven't seen it, holy moly. fantastic movie. I mean, epic fight scenes, the dialogue is incredible. And I think number two lives up to most of the expectations. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought Paul Mescal was fantastic. Denzel Washington, as like the secondary guy in this movie, is I blew my mind. I mean, I already knew Denzel Washington was a great actor. I think this is just another example of why he might be one of the greatest living actors today. Absolutely great. Pedro Pascal as like the kind of villain guy, fantastic. Like all the castings in this movie are great. There are some really funny moments. There are some super serious moments that I think are super heartfelt. Yeah, I love the movie. I do think, however, at times there's some flaws again with this, story script isn't probably the best, isn't, as good compared to the first Gladiator. Yeah, I thought it was good. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 overall. I still think it's an epic time. I mean, the fight scenes and everything. The ending is a little odd. I still haven't quite decided whether I like the ending or not because I'm not going to spoil anything. It's kind of anticlimactic in a weird way. It's weird. But yeah, anyway, this is coming in at number 10. Like I said, Gladiator 2. It's pretty darn epic. So, coming in at number 9, we have a movie who I want to preface by saying this. This movie, in almost, I'm not going to say any other year, but in a lot of other years, this movie would probably be higher on the list. But just because of how stacked this year of movies are, it's kind of fallen down to 9. And this is honestly one of the movies that's really just going to stick with me for a little while. Again, it's not perfect, but I love A Real Pain. So for those who don't know, A Real Pain is Jesse Eisenberg's new, directorial movie, which he also stars in with Kieran Culkin. And the movie basically follows these two cousins who their grandma recently passed away, and the grandma's from Poland, and so they decide to go back to Poland and go on this journey through honestly what is a Holocaust tour, to kind of experience what the grandma would have experienced back in the day, and really kind of connect with each other and experience this time together. I One of the things that I loved about this movie is I think Kieran Culkin, especially with award season coming up, I think he deserves like best supporting actor or whatever category he's nominated in. Kieran Culkin, and mind you, Jesse Eisenberg is fantastic as well, but Kieran Culkin delivers a performance that is honestly just like fantastic. I mean, it is amazing to watch on screen. Jesse Eisenberg's character is a little more quiet, reserved, and Kieran Culkin is this like bouncing ball of fire and spirit and their dynamics together are honestly what makes this movie so great. And if you have a chance to watch it, I would highly recommend it. Again, be prepared to cry a little bit and stuff. I definitely did in the theater. But yeah, at number 9, I am putting A Real Pain. This movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, just absolutely blew my mind when it came to visuals. If you've seen the other Planet of the Apes movies that came out kind of in the early 2000s, you'll realize like just how incredible the technology that was being used at that point was. And then you look at it now, it's like they just stepped it up. Like it already looked incredible before. It looks even better now. And man, this movie is so good. It builds upon what the previous franchise or what the previous movies has done. It adds to the story. And one of the things I really enjoyed was what you'll see in a lot of movies is, especially when you make sequels, or like, part number 2, number 3, number 4, you're going to start seeing that over time, the quality, first of all, goes down, but also to like make sure the hype is there. They, try to bring back old characters or they try to reference all this different stuff to try to draw the original fans out. And I think this movie knows what it is, and I think does it well. And what I mean by that is it allows the movie to, naturally have these kind of flashback moments that really fit into the story versus, you feel like the director or, the movie company said, hey, we have to have these moments in here to make this movie relevant to the new fans and stuff. That was a bit of a rant and stuff like that, but what my point is, this movie, it honors where it's coming from, right? It's source material with the old movies, but it continues to add just even new and better things to it. Again, fantastic movie. Number 8, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So coming in at number 7, we have, in my opinion, what is probably one of the more divisive movies of the year, but is very, very similar to what I just mentioned with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Obviously, the Planet of the Apes movies, right? Very, very iconic franchise, very beloved. Alien Romulus is also following up from the Alien franchise, which is also, one of the more iconic space horror franchises out there. And I think what this movie does really, really well is it lends itself to, again, like I mentioned previously with the other movie, it allows the old source material to be brought into this new way. And Fede Alvarez, the director, I think is able to put his own twist on the movie that I think really works. Again, the Alien movies are a lot older. The technology has obviously now advanced a lot since then, and I think the cast is absolutely incredible. I think the casting is great. I love all the individual characters. I think they're hilarious. I think they do a great job working together. It's kind of it's a new group of kids, who kind of are go on this adventure a little bit, I guess, or on this mission to this spaceship with the Alien movies, and they're having to survive there, which I think is a little bit different than some of the other storylines in the other Alien movies, but I think it works very well. Man, I again just love this movie. It's, there's a twist at the end of this movie that I did not see coming. And, I'll say there's about 3 points in this movie where I was like, oh, like the movie's going to finish up, it's going to wrap up, it's wrapping up its, its points and stuff. And then boom, no, like Alien, so, which I loved. I thought it was great. It kept you on your toes because it was like, oh, the monsters are all dead. Yeah. And then no, they're not all dead. So, I know that was a bit of a rant and stuff there, but I love this movie. I thought it was great. I think it's very, very close with Kingdom Planet of the Apes. I think honestly the 7 and 8 spot can kind of switch. But for right now, at number 7, I'm going to put Alien Romulus. So coming in at number 6, we probably have one of the more drastic changes. If you think going from Alien Romulus to whatever this movie is like the complete opposite of that. We have aliens in space and stuff like that. Here at number 6. It is the latest Robert Zemeckis movie. It stars Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, which you might know from Forrest Gump. And the whole premise of the movie is basically you're looking at this one, I guess, location on Earth through the history of time, right? So you're gonna start out with like the dinosaurs and stuff, and then you're gonna kind of advance all the way through to the present day. And it's such a fascinating concept because you're looking at basically this one camera angle from this one spot, right? You see the trees and stuff, when the dinosaurs are still roaming. Then as, civilization, kind of develops and stuff, you're going to see, the forest being cleared out, then a house being built. And then the majority of the movie is basically surrounding Tom Hanks and Robin Wright's characters as they kind of grow up in this house, and then they get married and they have kids. And it's this really, really fascinating kind of, I've never seen this before. Again, that whole kind of one angle shot, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought, again, it's just such a clever idea. I think Tom Hanks and Robin Wright still have that great chemistry together. There's a great cast in this. Like Paul Bettany, for example, is like Tom Hanks' dad in this movie. And I just thought it was just a really sweet movie because, again, not to spoil the film in any way, but, when you really think about it, right, we all, wherever we might be in the world, we have, family members in a house, or whether it could be a house or it could be a location. Maybe it's a park that you played with as a kid, right? There's these specific places on Earth, right, that we have memories tied to that location. I think it's a really cool movie showcasing, just the really, the memories and stuff, like I said, that are tied to these places and how valuable that those moments are. So, yeah, like I said, at number 6, I'm going to go ahead and put here. So coming in with at number 5, we have The Apprentice, a movie that I have reviewed on this channel before. This is a separate video, so go watch that. I'm not going to get into super in depth, but it is very interesting with the timing of this movie. Sebastian Stan plays a younger Donald Trump. Jeremy Strong plays a younger Roy Cohn, who is really Trump's kind of mentor, I guess, when he was growing up. And it's very fascinating, especially, like I said, with the timing of this movie. As of right now, as of recording this video, I mean, Trump has been elected the president of the United States. And no matter, what your opinion of Trump is, I think we can all agree that he is one of those people that you just like, he's just constantly in the news. Like, there's constantly talks about him, whether it's good or bad, right? He's just one of those people that's just like, is constantly there, right? And he's just one of those people you kind of just can't take your eyes off him, right? And again, Sebastian Stan, absolutely like incredible, like acting masterclass. Again, I believe he is nominated for best actor this year at the Oscars. So good for him. He deserves it. I mean, he did a fantastic job, right? There's so many little mannerisms that Trump does in his everyday talking, with his hand gestures and the way he inflects his voice and stuff, that you get to kind of see Sebastian Stan's character, of Trump slowly kind of develop those mannerisms over time. And I think it's just an absolutely incredible watch, and really lends a different eye, I think, into a man that I think has a lot of, people have different opinions about. So, yeah, again, at number 5, I'm going to go ahead and put The Apprentice, just because of how just absolutely incredible that this movie is. So, yeah. So at number 4, we have a movie that, in all honesty, when the trailer for this movie first came out, I instantly knew this was probably going to be a top 10. I thought it might be a top 3. Unfortunately, like I said, it is missing out right, like so close at number 4. It is We Live in Time. So, starring Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, We Live in Time focuses on really the life of this young couple as they meet, then they date, and then they get married, and then they have a kid together. Right? It's about this journey through life with this couple and their young kid, and I don't want to go into more depth than that because I don't want to spoil the movie. But man, this movie made me cry. It is absolutely fantastic. I know that there's some mixed opinions about this movie because it is edited very differently. Like, it's not shown in chronological order. So, they meet, they date, etc. It's like, it's like near the end of their relationship, and then they break up, and then they have the kid, and then it's kind of all mixed and jumbled up together, and you kind of have to fit the moments in your head kind of by yourself. But even with that, I think it's a different twist. I still love this movie. I mean, Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, just great chemistry. I mean, they're amazing actors by themselves in their own right. But I think this movie, together, man, they are incredible. I love the story. It's super heartfelt. I mean, I cried probably 2 to 3 times in this movie. Again, it just does such a great job showing, so we think so much of life as just the good moments or just the bad moments, right? Because those are the things that we remember, right? We remember the high points and we remember the low points. But I think this movie really does a great job focusing on, what? Life has a lot of times that very middle section, right? Where it's not really good, it's not really bad, but it's just living in the moment. And again, not to make a play on words, but the title, right? We Live in Time, right? It is, you live in the moment, right? So it is sneaking in here at number 4. John Crowley, director. It is going to be his movie, We Live in Time. So, breaking the top 3, we have Inside Out 2. I'll be honest, again, similar to Transformers 1 that I mentioned earlier, when the trailer for this movie dropped, I knew this movie was going to be good, but I didn't know how good, because let's be honest, the first movie is a genuine masterpiece, and them adding all these new voices, I was looking kind of scared. I was like, well, is this going to be good? Like, I don't know. Like, are obviously, the voice actors for these new emotions are very talented, but on screen, though, are they going to gel well together, right, with the old emotions? And I think it is. I love the direction that they took with this movie, right? Riley is growing up, right? And I think one of the cool things that they do with this movie is not only do they realize that, on screen, the Riley's growing up and she's developing new emotions, but I think they've also learned that, hey, the audience that watched our first movie has also grown up like years since the first movie came out. So I think they're very smart, and also in certain script writing and different ways that they made this movie, they allowed the audience a little bit more of a mature lesson and stuff to learn, right? This is not just a complete kids movie again. I think it is a little bit more adult than the first one, because they know everyone who grew up watching the first movie come out in theaters, they're going to be a couple years older now, right? They can kind of understand some of these more complex messages and stuff. And I think that's one of the things that makes this so great. I gave it, again, a 4.5 out of 5. Like, it is great. I mean, I love this movie so much. Yeah, I think Inside Out 2 is more than worthy to be in my top 3, sitting here at number 3. So coming in at number 2, I'm very, very excited to talk about this movie. I love this movie to death. Like, it is so good. I've genuinely, like, this movie, I don't think it made me cry a ton, but holy moly, it made me feel feelings that I did not know I had. Like, it is absolutely incredible. The movie is Look Back, directed by Kiyotaka Oshiyama. This movie follows these two art students. One's like, a really popular student, and the other one is a recluse that just, lives in her house. And the two of them become friends together. It's this journey that they take together through art, through their love of making comic books. And man, this, again, if you follow me on Letterboxd, go on Letterboxd and look at my like written review of this, because it's a little long for me to talk about here, but this movie is absolutely incredible. Like, I can't speak enough of this. It's such a beautiful art design. Again, this movie is animated in such a beautiful way. There's certain like moments in this movie that I literally have screenshotted in my head because of just how beautiful like these certain frames were. And again, the story as well. Like, it is incredible. I mean, I've said that so many times already today, the word incredible, but it's like, genuinely, this movie, I gave it a 5 out of 5. It is perfect in every way that you could want. It made me so sad. This movie made me so sad, and it was, yeah, I still think about this movie to this day, and I've watched it a couple months ago. Yeah, the only recommendation I can have is just go watch it, because again, I don't want to spoil anything. Just go watch it. Even if you're not the biggest, anime fan and stuff, it's also like 70 minutes, maybe. It's not even like, it's barely over an hour, I think. So it's not going to take up much of your time. So just go watch it. Go watch Look Back. And coming in at number 1, we have a movie. Which I think, I'm not gonna put it out there. I'm gonna say this. This might be the most disrespected movie of all time. Like, genuinely, if you watched Dune 2 this year, like, you sat in that theater, or you sat at home, wherever you were watching it, and as soon as the credits started rolling, you were like, this is an absolute masterpiece. Like, this movie, I'm gonna put it this way. This movie is this generation's Return of the King. Like, it is that epic. It is epic on every scale. I mean, the visuals, absolutely incredible. The acting is, the cast is fantastic. Each one brings, we're gonna ignore Christopher Walken here real quick. That's like the one not good spot in this movie. But everyone else, absolutely incredible. Like, Josh Brolin, like, fantastic. Rebecca Ferguson, great. Javier Bardem, great. Florence Pugh, by the way, is in this movie for like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. Great. She's great. I love it. This movie just, again, like, this is going to be my review for the number 1 movie. Like, this, legitimately. And the thing that I'm mad about is that this movie barely got nominated at the Oscars this year. And by the way, number 1, also barely nominated. Like, I don't think it may have won like 1 Oscar. And like, genuinely, these movies, like, when they came out, like, this is one of, I believe, again, to my knowledge, Dune 2 is like one of the highest rated movies on Letterboxd right now. Like it's one of the most popular on the app. And you're telling me that this movie just did not get nominated? I don't know. You know, again, there this is by far the number one. I know I'm not really doing a review for it right now. Like I'm not explaining the movie at all, but just go watch it. I mean, this is one of the most incredible movies you will ever see. Like it is great. So, um, there you go. Number one, Dune freaking 2. So yeah, I mean, there's my top 10 movies of the year. So, again, there's so many just great movies that came out this year, especially again, to be honest with you, especially in that like six, like top six range, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like those spots and above. There's definitely a couple other movies that I could have thrown in, jumbled some things around. But I am pretty happy with the list that I have today. Again, like I said, can you throw in a couple more movies, shuffle some spots around? Absolutely. But really with the set that the list that I have today, I think is a big part of it is also the rewatchability, right? So for example, um, you know, for me, Alien Romulus is slightly maybe more rewatchable than Kingdom Planet of the Apes, right? Even though I gave them the same star rating, that's why I kind of have that standings or that ranking that way. So yeah, I mean, let me know down below what your top 10 movies of the year are. I'm definitely going to be making a bottom 10 list at some point, so that would be fun to do. Because trust me, there's a lot of bad movies that came out last year as well. So yeah, I mean, let me know. So I guess until then, see ya.